Our film festival coverage wraps up at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. After a quick review of the last 11 days, Claudia and Conrad talked to some folks attending the Best of the Fest. We finish up with a discussion of a few more films and an interview with the producer of the closing film.
Well, it's Best of the Fest time.
Woo!
This is where we get all the best, highest votes from all the films. And
12 days of films, they voted, and now we're seeing the best.
How many do we have today?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. There must be 30, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty packed at several theaters. Yeah. Well, before we get started, we're going to see a clip of some of the things that have been happening for the last 10 days around town.
Let's do it.
Film Fest.
This is because of and for Freddie Mercury. Thank you. You know, I watched Christian Slater walk in the first thing and to see him, a guy that I've admired, and hear Rami Malek and Regina King and Barry Jenkins and all these people. I get so excited. I'm like a kid. I'm like, I can't believe I'm in this room.
I'd like to take a moment before we begin to close our eyes and meditate on the year that just passed. Maybe not.
Conrad and I are at the Camelot Theater, Best of the Fest.
Best of the Fest, exactly.
And we're going to be talking to people, folks that have seen the films.
People who are in the films. People who participated with the film festival. We're going to just get all kinds of input
sponsors,
from folks.
yeah. So it's a nice, chilly, rainy day, and what better thing to do than talk to folks here?
And our first guest is sitting right here next to us, right here in the middle, Al Arguello. How close?
Arguello.
Arguello.
You got to go.
There you go,
Arguello.
Arguello. And so, Al, you are representing the Bank of America,
That's right.
which is one of the major sponsors, correct?
That's
and
right.
also one of the sponsors of the
student screening.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about
The
that?
student
Absolutely.
screening,
Yeah,
interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I am representative of Bank of America. I am the market president for the Bank of America in the Inland Empire. That's the two county areas of Riverside and San Bernardino counties. And one of the major sponsorships that we do every year is the Palm Springs Film Festival. We've been sponsoring the festival for about 13 years as a major sponsor. And then about 12 years ago, we were the first sponsor of the student screening event, where we bring 1,300 students or so from all the high schools in the Coachella Valley, and we bring them to the Palm Springs High School. This year, we also had a second one in Indio. We had about 450 students there and about 1,000 at the Palm Springs High School, where we exposed them to the art of cinema and storytelling in the hopes of educating the students, but also creating opportunities for workforce development in the industry of cinema or storytelling. And so for Bank of America to be part of that and be able to be a catalyst in this kind of economic attainment, it's important to us, and we're very proud of that.
Great. And I think you said it. Arts matter.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you much, Al. We appreciate
Thank
you being
you
here.
so much,
You're
Al.
very welcome.
Great to
Absolutely.
have you.
Thank you.
So films are happening left and right here because, of course, this is Best of Fest, and these folks are joining us because they just saw the public. I'm going to let them tell you who is the director.
Emilio Estevez.
There you go. There you go.
Estevez.
So why don't you introduce yourselves first?
Marie.
Marie,
Ivy,
Ivy,
And Rob.
and Rob. And are you all from the desert, or are you coming from out of town?
Canada.
Well, welcome, welcome. So,
I just moved here.
is that right? And from where?
Canada?
LA.
LA. I'm an LA transport also, so that's a good thing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think?
Loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a very interesting story about a demonstration. I don't know if it was based on a real situation or otherwise, but of a group of homeless people that ran into a tight situation with weather getting very cold and decided to take over a public library.
It's almost like a shelter is what they're going to. They made it their own shelter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, what about you? What did you find enjoyable about this film?
It's just people getting together and they decided to do something to look after themselves, and the library belongs to the public, and it was very cold in that city. So to see people taking control and seeing them succeeding in doing what they wanted to do.
It's part of Best of Fest.
Yeah.
You should
It
see
was
it.
great.
Great. Thanks for
Good
joining
deal.
us.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, we're excited to be here today. Conrad and I have joining us the director and the lead actress from Eva and Candeli. And this is Ruth
Ruth, say your last name for us.
It's Caudelli.
Caudelli. Ruth Caudelli
Yeah.
and Sylvia Verone.
Sylvia Varone, yeah.
Yeah. So great to meet you.
Awesome. We are so happy to meet you.
Why don't you tell us? You're the writer and the director.
Yes,
Why
I
don't you
am.
tell us a little bit about the story?
So the
Colombia. Your film is from Colombia.
yes, it is. It's a story about how love changes during time. I mean, it's what happens when a relationship it's settled down. I mean, what happens when love it's like the normal thing, and when years start to pass by, what happens then? So that's what happens to Eva and Candela. They fell in love, and then what's next? They start to live together, and the magic it's not so magical anymore.
A little complacent.
Yes.
And I think, as we all know, love is never simple. So
No.
this film is going to talk about some of those things
Yes.
that happen, right?
Does it go
And
over
also
a
how
course?
it changes, because at the beginning of a relationship, love is different,
Passion,
and if you spend more time, it changes.
Right.
Does the film go over a certain course of years?
Yes. The,
How many years?
7 years.
7 years.
Yes. It's,
And did it take you 7 years to make it?
almost, but no, not really.
How
No.
long did it take you to make it?
22 days.
Is that
We
right?
shot it in 22 days.
Oh, that sounds great. So the film is called Eva and Candela.
Yes.
It's coming out on Amazon, and see it soon.
You okay?
Yes, please.
Great. And congratulations to you.
No,
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining us. We
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you for
Thank
inviting
you
us.
so much.
So, like many film festivals, the people who help keep it moving along are the volunteers. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And we are joined here by the queen of volunteers, Holly Copeland, who is in charge of the volunteers here at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. Thank you for joining us.
Well,
Thank you, Holly.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. I always love to talk about the volunteers.
So, Holly, why don't you tell us a little about it? First of all, how does a person become a volunteer for the film festival?
It's very easy. You just go to our website, psfilmfest.org, and you'll get to the home page, and then at the top is a header that has Support Us, and you click on that. There's a volunteer drop down, and you click on that, and that'll get you to an application that takes about 5 minutes to fill out.
And why don't you tell us, what are some of the responsibilities of a volunteer?
Probably the biggest responsibility is helping us in the theaters. We use about 180 volunteers in the theaters just every day. And so that can be handing out ballots, handing out reentry passes, working the outside lines, and it can also be scanning tickets, which is something totally new for us this year.
Well, and one of the things is, most of the movies have been packed to capacity. And if you're sort of running in there at the last minute, or if you've been waiting in line, every theater I've had the experience has staff there. We have 2 seats right over there for you, or here, which is great because it's dark and you don't know where to kind of squeeze your way in. So extremely helpful helpful volunteers.
And also, you give a great
Party
at the end, which is coming up for us. So we're looking forward to
Tomorrow
that.
we're doing a Hawaiian theme, so everybody
Oh,
needs to wear their
really?
Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fun.
Should be a lot of fun. Holly, thank you very much for joining
Well,
us
thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
And go volunteers, you rock.
So Conrad, what have you seen
Okay.
since we last chatted?
I have so many films in my head,
I
I
know.
can't even think anymore,
I
right?
know.
But let's just go ahead and start with some stuff. Some things that we saw together. Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace, yeah.
So that
What did you
was-
think about that?
I personally am not a gospel vocal fan just because I just didn't grow up with that as a kid. However,
Aretha
seeing
Franklin.
Aretha Franklin do a 2-hour concert for us was very rewarding.
Yeah.
Amazing Grace, but
Yeah.
it's a must see.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
Well,
so what
one of
else?
my favorites, absolutely, I just loved it, was Black Klansman.
It's a good one, Spike Lee, right?
Yeah, so
You can't
good.
beat
It
that.
was so engaging. It was thrilling. I mean, to think that, and what year was this? This was in the 70s.
Right. I think.
A black undercover cop. He was just on the regular police force at first, but he wanted to be in undercover
wanted
work.
To be more, right.
Uncovers this whole Ku Klux Klan
Yeah.
in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
It was a book written by Ron Stallworth, who we had the opportunity to meet. There was a Q&A
Oh, is that
following
right?
the film and his book signing. And basically, everything about this film was true. And the lead who played Ron Stallworth
Right.
was John David Washington. And he happens to be Denzel Washington's son.
And he was at the gala, and so was Adam Driver at the gala.
Yes,
right? And
they
so,
were
of course,
both.
was Spike
yeah.
Lee at the gala.
Yes, they were all there. And he did a great job.
Yeah. Okay, so Claudia, we have to talk about a film called Girl.
Girl.
Right, this is Girl. It's
We
a
both
Belgian
saw it.
film, foreign language submission for the Oscars. My breath was taken away.
I know. I feel the same way. It was
So this is a
amazing.
film about a young boy who is trying to become a ballerina and also going through the transition from boy
Right.
to girl. And we've all seen a variety of movies so far. I would have to say that the gentleman, the young actor whose name is Victor Polster, I think his name is, to me that was the best actor of the films that I saw. I want to quickly say that what I found interesting about this film is that they actually auditioned this is what I heard, 500 people to be the girl, the main star of Laura.
Really?
Right. 500 people came in. They were looking for men, boys or girls, or transgender, ages 14 to 17. 500 people, and they couldn't find them. They couldn't find the person for Laura. So what they decided to do instead was to hire the dancers first. And Victor was one of the dancers, and they decided, you know what?
Yes, I remember hearing
I think that's
that.
going to work.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
the film is called Girl.
Yeah.
And get ready.
It was really good.
What about a film you saw?
Husband Material.
I didn't see that, but
From India.
I have a
and,
husband, but go ahead.
You know,
Tell me about
it's,
it.
It's Bollywood, but it goes beyond that because it stars a young woman who, this is very atypical for a Hindi film, very feisty, very just, she knew what she wanted, and boy, she was like, no man could just like hold on to her.
Is that right?
So she's choosing, her parents wanted her to get married, right? It's either the arranged marriage or the hot guy that she had this stormy relationship with, and it kind of goes back and forth.
And I saw a film along the same lines called Simple Wedding, and it is the same idea, right? And it's about, again, the dynamics of the culture of individuals and then how they mesh with them. So the young girl, her mom and dad wanted her to marry a certain kind of a culture, an individual, and she, of course, comes upon a very free-willing bisexual artist and decides, I don't want to go what mom and dad says, I want to go over here.
Yeah.
And how do those families bring those two worlds together? Kind of the same
Yeah.
same idea. And that one's called Simple Wedding.
Okay.
What else do we
All
see?
right. Well, last night was the closing gala. The film was Ladies in Black from Australia.
From Australia.
Wasn't it just like a great feel-good film?
That was an amazing film, right?
It was. I thought it was beautifully done. And there was good character development. I really feel for all the women in the film. Basically takes place in the 50s.
In the 50s, in Australia.
And there's a matriarch that sort of takes the young
Yes.
young girl
the
under her
intern.
the
Yes,
intern
yes.
under her wings.
Yes. And of course, who played the matriarch?
Julia Ormond.
She was amazing.
She was
right?
amazing, and she was a Slovak immigrant in
Exactly.
Australia, which these things were back in the 50s.
Yes. And you can tell because the cast, or not the cast, but the characters didn't care for her, but there was actually another part to her.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to
Yeah,
learn
and
about.
that's where that bond, you
Right.
know, you see her, get to know her family.
And I believe you got to speak to the producer, correct?
Yes,
Who was that?
Alana Zitzerman. And let's just go right to that clip from the closing gala last night.
Sounds good.
Here with Alana Zitzerman, the producer of a fabulous film for the closing gala, Ladies in Black. Alana, this was such feel good, but with a lot of story to it, a lot of depth. How did you get involved in the production?
It's a long story. I'll try to keep it brief. Basically, I met Bruce back in 2007. I had a film festival, my own film festival in Australia, and he was my masterclass. Bruce is a hero for me. I grew up watching his films and was always absolutely loved the human quality that he brings and that touching ability that he makes you cry, makes you laugh. Anyway, he had brought a copy of the book to the festival as a gift for me and said he was making this movie. 9 years later, I had had a couple of kids, moved on, and I had him over for lunch, and he was like, you know that movie I said I was going to make? Well, I haven't made it. Would you like to be involved? And very quickly, about 6 months later, or 9 months later, we had the film up and running. And here we are.
The world premiere! The world premiere! Thank you, Alana.
Well, Conrad, hasn't it been a great film fest?
It's been outstanding.
It's just, I don't know, it just blew me away this year. It's just fantastic.
12 days of films, 230 films, some 78 countries. The gala made $2.5 million this year.
Oh my gosh.
All going to go to the Film Society operations and education programs. It was
amazing.
fun.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a sad day, but we're looking forward to next year. And
as I say, I'm so glad we had this time
together.
See you next year.